Hello, I am here on a beautiful shelter trip. I'm in the shelter right now because it's very windy outside. A bit of a hike from the car through a very small forest, and I set up my tent a ways away from this shelter. I prefer sleeping in the tent in the summer for the mosquito net. Today we are going to talk about my number 4 favorite item to bring on a primitive camping trip. And this is an item I've been looking forward to because there's a lot of neat tips and tricks. So all the facts and thingamajigs about a certain product, there's not going to be a whole lot of that in this episode. This is just going to be, this is what I bring, this is what I do with it. Cooking system. A beautiful, heavy, bulky, stainless steel Pathfinder Canteen cooking set. In this, I have a nesting cup, a lid, a small wood stove. I fitted the back here with an extra pocket so there is another folding stove in it. Let's unpack it. Let's see what it is. First of all, it's a 1.1 liter kidney-shaped canteen. As you can see, it's well used. I have an extra folding stove, and in this, I usually carry some kind of fire lighting material. I use this for, artificially created fuel and just as a wood stove. I have the nesting cup. I also use to drink out of for coffee and tea and beer and whatnot. And this also doubles as a pan or skillet where I oil it up really well and lay the meat or the sausages or whatever inside here. So it's going to fit neatly on top of this. And then if you angle it a bit, you have a pan where the oil won't fall out. So very multi-purpose, very nice. It has these nice eyelets so you can use a fork or a stick to pick it up if it's too hot. The whole thing, it nests in kind of a stove. Now, I do not use this as a stove by itself very much, but it's very nice to have, and I'll show you what I use it for sometimes. I also have a spork, Then I have a lid for the nesting cup. I have also used this as a plate sometimes. Fish mouth opener. I use it on the canteen flask as such when I hang it on the fire. Very handy. In my pocket right here, coffee, tea, honey. All sorts of drinkables for these little trips. In this padded pouch I have salt, chili, and all-round barbecue spices. And on the back here is a little pocket I sewed on to fit my folding stove. What I also do with this, I want to show you. These two stoves. I really like this folding stove because a lot of the times I use it like multi-purpose. When I just need a small twig fire, I open it like this. And when I need to put in some bigger pieces, I put this nesting stove. I open up the stove and I put it on top of the smaller folding stove. Now, this actually fits quite nicely and it elevates the whole cooking setup a bit so I can fit bigger pieces of wood in there. Bigger flames, more oxygen. And this is a full canteen, about 1 kilo. It's very nice, and if you find a stable enough surface, this will serve you very well. So that's a little neat trick I use. On this type of stove where it kind of folds in, you have to be very careful by placing it, and because the weight is more backwards facing, without any liquid in, it will topple over. But if you do this little trick and fill this with water, you got actually a very nice stove with a bit of height, more oxygen, bigger flames, faster cooking. This is kind of my go-to setup for a lot of my primitive camping trips. Now it's heavy. The whole thing filled with water, it weighs about, I would say maybe 2 kilos, maybe 2.3 or 4. I've said it before, I'm not a light hiker or anything. I just bring lots of gear. Most of it I don't use, like knives and axes. But this I use to the fullest. I really enjoy tinkering with it, putting it together. And it's bulky, it's heavy, but it's fun. And it's very effective. Another little nice thing about this folding stove. I use it as a char tin. I have a char tin specifically for charring material like fabric or punkwood. This also works as a char tin. If you close it up as best you can actually limit the amount of oxygen that gets to the material to a point where it just gets charred. Depriving the material of oxygen so it doesn't burn out is a bit of a tricky part, but I usually just douse it in sand so no air can get to the material, so it cannot, sustain the embers and completely burn out. Be a bit vigilant when you char this. It can go a bit awry if you haven't secured it properly, and make sure that you eliminate as much air as possible, but it is possible, and it's a nice little extra feature to this folding stove. Also, you've probably seen me with an alcohol stove do this. I turn it on its side, and when I have an alcohol stove, let us pretend this is an alcohol stove and place it here. This gives you a lot of extra stability so it doesn't fold in on itself, and then you can place whatever you want on there and the flames will go up. Just a very small effective hack. It's not perfect like as a wind guard, but it will give you some cover from the wind. So this folding stove, old as balls, rusty, a bit squeaky, but man, it's multi-purpose. That's what I use it for. There's probably like 5 other uses that it could be good for. If you have any uses or experience with this or something to share, put it in the comments. Let's see if we can get this ball rolling, because such a kit here is just so versatile. So any ideas, let us know. It's a pretty cheap set, but it'll last you so many years, and the customization options on such a pouch here, and to add and subtract from such a kit, it's just so many possibilities, so many cool little gadgets and uses you can put in it. And I'm just rambling on, but I really like this kit, and this is my go-to primitive camping kit. Now, I'm not saying this is the kit you should get. There's a lot of other options that will be just as customizable, but find something you really like, get some experience with the kit, because that's the fun part of it, getting to know your kit and adding bobs and blips and figuring out how it works best for you. That's the awesome part of camping and kit. So even if you make it compact and easy and pretty primitive, there's a lot of options in it. This is my take on it. Fucking see you later, I guess. Now go away. I am going to make some coffee.